So we're back for the third day of kind of a recap. It was an interesting day. It got a little bit more interesting once you left, Web. So
Oh, okay.
kind of play around with, we'll talk about what happened and what didn't happen. For those who are brand new to our little recap game here, um, we're doing a classroom operating system at Von Tobel Middle School. Shout out to Von Tobel. I don't even know what their is it Tigers? I think it's the Tigers.
I know that sounds right.
I think it's the Tigers. But shout out to Von Tobel and their newly appointed principal, Cecilia French, friend of the program. Uh, anyway, today, if you're following that, like the design thinking milestones, Monday was empathy, Tuesday was kind of analysis, and today was daydreaming, really thinking about what could happen with this system that people are building. And it was fascinating to see people surprised by the things they were able to produce. So, Webbs, were there any ahas or like things you took from today's session that you would like to highlight?
I enjoyed our little side quest conversations. Those were good. I nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Like
So,
I enjoy the I think a lot of what I like about this always is getting to know the participants and their experiences and think and seeing where they'll take an idea and go someplace I hadn't thought about
uh,
because, they have a different lived experience than I do. They teach different things than I did. They view the way that we have created this system differently. So it's always interesting to see what they want to do with it.
so I came in a little frustrated this morning. Like some things happened before we went that kind of like threw me off my game a little bit. So we did not start with the tree map that we should have started off. That should have led them into the commercial creation of that little commercial. And it was obvious that that scaffold was necessary in order to get them to a place where they would get produce a commercial. However, it was cool to have them try Google Vids. And if you're someone who's watching this and you have not experienced Google Vids and you're in a Google district, Google Vids has a lot of very interesting things, especially because VO is now baked into Google Vids. Not a 100% on board with let's go AI videos for 2.5 hours feature film length type thing. I don't think I'll ever be on board for that. But I think in very short bursts and integrating things into bigger projects, I think it could be a CGI of type situation. I don't see an entire CGI film, but using it strategically, I don't particularly have a problem with that. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it opens up some avenues that wouldn't be accessible to people otherwise, which is nice. And you can use it for things like the commercial we had them make, which they can then use for like their open house night. So that's kind of nice.
So that was cool. They eventually got to a point where they had a pretty good idea what they wanted to do. And the stress then was accumulating things that were relevant to their teaching philosophy and their course creation and placing those things in what is now Gemini Notebook, what was referred to as Notebook LM. And that was kind of a fascinating project because of the conversations that it surfaced in terms of um, scheduling. So just like, if we did it from the microcosm, what does your school bell schedule look like? And really having to deal with that particular situation. Um, Not only that, but uh, what does the district calendar look like as opposed to the student to the teacher calendar? Having to mitigate those things, looking at your standards, pacing guides. We have a couple participants who do not have traditional courses. They have elective type courses that do not have a pacing guide that was created and kind of overseen by the larger school district, and them having to try to make it kind of make sense of what am I going to do in what order and what does that look like when I lay everything out. I thought that was a kind of a fascinating kind of exploration for their, a participant who had access to district creative pacing guides versus one that did not. And then we got into really got into tools and design kind of concepts. We talked a little bit about Classroom Cast. If you're a Clark County School District teacher, you have essentially what is a YouTube tool that many teachers do not utilize at all, but it is available there if you want to keep your things off of YouTube and in like a, what would it be, a safer space? Like, how would you articulate what Classroom Cast offers a classroom teacher in Las Vegas?
I mean, one, it's an underused tool. It's nice that it has that sort of closed garden option, so you're not opening it up to the wider world. I believe you can schedule your streams, correct? Is there a limit on how much space or how much you can have there?
I don't believe there. I mean, I've never run into an issue with. I mean, I've thrown huge hour and 15-minute videos up there. For those who weren't aware, the way that I kind of exploited Classroom Cast was during the pandemic. Myself and the other specialists at our elementary school essentially created a Sesame Street program and reran those program. We ran hour and 5-minute videos 6 times a day for every last one of our grade levels, and never ran into any problems in terms of bandwidth or storage. So in the grand scheme of things, I would assume that teachers could do quite a bit of streaming and hosting on Classroom Cast. And so when you left, I did demonstrate that particular thing for them.
The collaboration opportunities are nice with Classroom Cast. Like if they cross pollinated with some other teachers across the district, that would give them an avenue to be able to collaborate and build things together and then publish them there for both classes or multiple classes. That would be cool.
That would be absolutely.
You do like an awards show. It's really cool.
You could do a situation in which one of our participants is doing video games. That would be an opportunity to do feedback and review sessions in a closed loop where you could do that with other schools. And there's lots of possibilities for that particular thing. In addition to the fact that when you left, one of the things that we did was explore Canvas quite a bit. And so again, Canvas is still the tool that lots of the secondary schools are going to be, drawn to. And so exploring Canvas, the Classroom Cast integration into Canvas was something that we looked at. In addition to, we talked about SCORM files today.
Oh, interesting. How did that come up?
Well, I was just like, it's generally when people do Canvas coursework, they don't do like the weird, strange, let's be provocative with it. It's kind of, hey, here's a page and do stuff. And so I was showing them all of the things that were displayed and all the available tools that could be displayed as well. You just kind of caught us with the Lucid chart and things like that. But the SCORM, I kind of showed them some tools that I use to build SCORM files, so you get some of that interactivity and some of that, the sexy movement and stuff inside of the web pages that kind of gives it a professional look rather than you just put some stuff on a page. And so we had a couple of people who said that they'd be very interested in exploring that. That was pretty dope. And investigating the integration of Adobe, the Adobe
the LTI tool.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. And what we did that was kind of the piece de resistance today was using Google Gemini with their notebook LMs to design a gem that would explain their teaching philosophy to another teacher. And that was kind of where we left off today. And that was very interesting because I think that adults need the permission to be wacky and to be creative and be imaginative and go kind of left field. And
Oh
often,
yeah.
you know,
I mean, you gotta figure like by what, third, fourth grade, most of that be silly, go off into left field has been pushed out of us in favor of the right answer. So adults don't get a lot of opportunities to be able to just goof around and do something silly,
oh, I think
like the people on our YouTube comment.
beyond that, it's like, yo, uh, not just opportunity, but permission, I guess, to be odd. Like for example, today I wanted my gym to speak like somebody who was influenced by 1990s boom bap hip hop. So I wanted explain my philosophy in that way. So of course it was rapping and stuff. You kind of hear the DJ premiere and you hear it or whatever, and so that opened it up to we had a one participant had their speaking a Cockney accent, one participant had their speak in like Gangs of New York, Gangs of London rather, if you've seen that program, AMC. And we had I forget what the another participant had, but it was super interesting. And then the one participant had to speak in the Cockney accent, actually read it aloud in the Cockney accent. It was like this performance. It was really cool. But really getting to the point where if I was absent and a guest teacher needed to have my philosophy explained, I could have it explained. You probably don't want it in a Cockney accent, but in some way that would allow that person to be comfortable exploring, whatever the expectations were in that instructional environment. Indeed. Super interesting. So, like in terms of your takeaways from today, anything? You're muted.
I'm thinking aloud to myself.
Oh, good.
I think one of the things I thought about was we don't give people enough time to let ideas marinate during professional development. We spend a lot of time like pushing out information, but we don't give people enough time to just like futz around and actually like play with their food, you know? Um, and I was thinking about how, yes, we gave them new tools today, but every day builds on the previous day insofar as they've had a little bit of time to marinate, and we're not adding so much with every day that you're not like switching topics or starting brand new, so that you have some background knowledge you're anchoring to as you're building, um and giving enough time, because I think sometimes too, like the time that they had to work on their commercial, we gave them like half an hour. And a lot of times when you're given a new tool, and we talked about this, I think, a little bit on Monday, when you are given a new tool, the first thing you should do is just explore the tool and not pair. It is never a good idea to pair new tool with a high risk, high value task. That is a guaranteed like recipe for frustration right out of the gate, because you have a high cognitive load of learning the new tool, and you also have the high stress and cognitive load of the high risk task. And I think that giving them that time to dig in and work with Google Vids and build out their commercial and ask questions and slow down the pace a bit when they're working during that time. I think that is hugely beneficial when it comes to having things actually sink in versus rushing. And I think that's also something that is worth taking back to a classroom and giving kids that same space to kind of sort things out.
Absolutely. So tomorrow is really going to be prototype day. We're going to add something to the mix tomorrow. Really, they're going to look at branding and a brand kit based on the things they've uploaded, but they're also going to do something with that brand kit. and see what those colors and things look like, and then have by the end a functional, like a Google gym like we did last time. So they'll have about we'll take the 3 hours and really just push them to make and explore, make and explore, make and explore. So that Friday when we do the slopped activity at the end, it should be kind of cool. But it was really fun. It's great to get to know people as well and become friends with new people. And they seem to be they're very garrulous and very motivated crew as well. Like these are people who definitely want that to grow their practice and to see how these tools can work in their learning environment. Anything else to add to the good for the good of the people?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and seeing, what comes next.
Indeed, indeed. All right. So short recap today, about 15 minutes is cool. We will see you tomorrow for day four's recap.
All right. Bye.